As we said in part 1, we are going to make the vertical cuts. Instead of a jigsaw, we'll make some vertical cuts, and like that it will be very easy also to make the rounding. The vertical cuts have to be, some have to be less deep than others. Make like 4 cuts, that's enough. We'll use a smaller saw for this work, this little one. You also can just make it 45 degrees and then use a round rasp. Maybe that would be a better idea than do it the traditional way. You can make cuts, and then when you make the cuts very close to each other, you put a chisel and a hammer, and then it breaks very easily because it's short grain. Short grain breaks very easily. Maybe it would be a better idea to make it 45 degrees. Maybe we should do that. Why not? We don't have 300 years of living. So we will do that. And then we can always still do the other option. Okay. So as straight as possible, 90 degrees. Okay. Next up, will be with the round file to move the axis till we get close to the pencil mark. So let's look for a round file. And otherwise, if you don't have a round file, you can use it. You can use a chisel and do it that way. This way. Or you can start with a chisel and work it, finish it with a file. Always use sharp tools. Even though it sounds strange, sharp tools will cause less quickly an accident than working with things which are very dull. Dull? I think it's dull in English. Okay, a round rasp is what we need. I have 2 options. I will show you that we are already getting closer to the round shape. We will finish. I will start with a rough one and then end up with the one which is a little bit less rough. And then we need actually as well a round file, but I don't have one, so we will end up with sandpaper. Oh, And then this will splinter if we don't round it first. These sides, especially when you push this way, you push that way, it will splinter here. So we have to round it already a little bit here. This side we have to round, otherwise it will splinter. Just a little bit. Just a little bit to avoid splintering at the back. Okay, we always push. We use a push when we remove the material when we push. When we don't put any power on the tool when pulling back. Work as 90 degrees as possible. Then, when going deeper, we should remove again a little bit round this corner, because there was no rounding left. We are getting closer to the line. Okay, I'm getting satisfied about the curve. Okay, I think it's done. We don't need this finer rasp. You will end up with some sandpaper. We need to plane this side, sand it. We will do first the curve which we set so that it will be easier to hold. And we still have to give the curves here where the scraping steel will go inside and cut quite deep for the scraping steel to hold well. And then at the end make here a curve, and round all corners and sand it. So we go back to our drawing, and I see that in the cut here for the scraping steel is about 2 centimeters from the end of the wood. Sorry, not 2 centimeters, 2/3 of the square. They leave 2/3. Probably you have to leave most of the material here at the end, because otherwise it would be short grain, and it would be short grain and it would break. So we will mark 2/3 from the back. It was about 6 and 7 centimeters, so 2/3 would be 7 centimeters. 2, 6, 2. I give it about 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters from the end will be our cut. I think that's a good place for a scraping steel to find its home. Sometimes you have also to work with your common sense and feeling. Try to feel, will this work, will this hold, will this be good? You don't need to approach everything the mathematical way. And sometimes it's easier just to go to the shop and buy something ready, which I never do probably. This is the cut for the scraping steel. I'm marking it. Then we have to figure out how deep we will cut it. I have no idea. We will just try it out and see what is the best. Next step, we will copy the roundings. Those roundings, we will round it a little bit at the end and then make the cut and round it at the beginning as well, just a slight little bit, because I want it to grip as good as possible. So the rounding in the middle here, I won't make it too much. I don't think that would be a good idea as they do in the drawing. I want as much material to give a good support for the scraping steel. So we will round the end here, we will round, and we will round this side, so we will cut it 45 degrees and finish it with our wood rasp and some sandpaper, and then we will round it here as well, just a slight bit to give it a nice rounding, just aesthetical reasons. And we have to plane those sharp corners. We all have to plane them round, nice round, so that it will be comfortable to hold your scraping steel. Shouldn't hurt, shouldn't leave marks on your hand, blisters, things like that. Okay, this piece we also have to round. Here we have to round, and we have to make a little bit of rounding here. I won't make a lot, I think it's not necessary. More aesthetically than it would help. Okay, we will make the cut. How deep will we make? For now, I estimate it should be, let's see our little sample. A little sample. Our little sample was about 1.5 centimeter, which was a poor grip. Let's start with 3 centimeters, 30 millimeters, or 1 inch, which is 2.5 centimeters, 25 millimeters. 3 centimeters is better, a little bit over 1 inch. We will make that cut. With our little saw. It's not horizontal. Make a straight cut. Now we'll try it already, just out of curiosity. Okay, we take some paper. I want to know if the grip is better. In the future it will be carbon or leather. Oh yes, much better. With the paper it almost doesn't want to. Excellent. Thin cardboard would do, or some very thin plastic. Okay, next step, round the corners, all corners. We'll now do the end top corner, 45 degrees. And then this one. And these end ones we need to do as well. As straight as possible. You could do it the whole corner just with a rasp, but it will save you some work. Okay, we roughly rounded the corners, and we will round them now with the rasp. 90 degrees everywhere. Yes. Nice rounding. It has a nice rounding. I agree. Next up, we'll be rounding these edges.